and mass communications at the college level, and have taught social studies at the secondary level. My professional work has included being executive director for the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and its many projects, including the Ecology Center of Southern California, Project Ecotourism, and the Environmental Resources Library. I've also been executive producer and host of the longest-running weekly environmental radio series in the country, Environmental Directions, and of the environmental television series Eco News. It is important to keep in office a successful incumbent such as myself, Nancy Perlman, because of the experience that we bring during these tough economic times. Your vote does count, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so very much for voting for me, Nancy Perlman.
This concludes our presentation of statements from the 8 runoff candidates. The general municipal election will be held on Tuesday, May 19th. And if you need election information, contact the office of the city clerk by dialing 311, your one call to City Hall. Video statements of the candidates who appeared in this program can also be viewed on the City of Los Angeles' website at lacity.org. Just follow the links to LA City View Channel 35 or the city clerk's election division page. On election night, May 19th, you can also log on to the office of the city clerk's website and link to real-time election results provided by the County of Los Angeles. We also invite your comments on this election programming. By email, you can send your comments to ita.channel35@lacity.org. By phone, leave your comments on our 24-hour viewer comment hotline, 213-473-3978. During business hours, you can also call 311, and the operator will connect you to our general office line. But don't forget to participate in the city's upcoming 2009 general municipal election by casting your vote on May 19th. For all of us here at LA City View Channel 35, I'm Ken Curtis, and we thank you for watching our election programming.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
This is a meeting of the Ad Hoc Committee on Economic Recovery and Reinvestment, a special meeting this morning. Thank you, Mr. Wesson. I know we are anticipating Mr. Rosendahl and I believe Mr. Parks. I'm not sure the other members if they'll be here this morning. I know that there was a request to actually do C, E, and F first, but maybe you want to give us a brief overview where we are.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Jim Clark, Director of Federal Relations in the Mayor's Office. Just to bring you up to date, you'll be dealing with 6 items today. There are 3 Justice Assistance Grants applications, 1 grant for TIGR, which is the Transportation Investment Greenhouse Gas Emission Reduction, and then 2 pertaining to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. For next week, just as a heads up, I anticipate that you're going to have 9 applications next week, 7 for the Clean Cities diesel emission and 2 for the Bureau of Reclamation on a water project. So next week you might need to schedule early as well to allow time for it. As far as news goes, we just received this morning the notice of funding availability regarding the TIGR program, which is the discretionary funding program for transportation called Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery. They've given us a date of June 1st for public comment. They've listed the selection criteria. We've already been having a working group that's been meeting from the different departments to talk about ways we might be able to go after this money. So we'll be looking at the selection criteria and also seeing if we want to provide some public comment to the Secretary of Transportation. The deadline date for applications for this $1.5 billion is September 15th will be the deadline application date. And that's all I have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bill Cranes with the CAO's office. I'll give you a quick status of the overall project from a project management standpoint. We are in the process of executing an agreement for an interim grants research and tracking system. We should have that done by next week. We're already putting information from the spreadsheet into that tracking system.
Is this the one that's doing with ITA and there will be kind of adjunct to FMIS, or?
Well, this is actually with a company by the name of eCivis. This is more of an interim system until that system is selected.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm familiar with eCivis. Okay.
Okay. And another item is this committee directed our office last week to begin adding information about match requirements into the spreadsheet where we track matching information. That has been done for all the applications that have been submitted so far. We're still going back this coming week and putting in all the proposal information with regard to matching information. So you should have match requirements probably by this time next week. In addition to that, since last week's meeting, we have submitted 1 application for CSBG for what's called a substantial amendment for $12.7 million, and we discussed that last week in this committee. As of yesterday, we have submitted 19 grant applications for a total of $329 million. Billion. Million. Sorry. Should keep my glasses on. And then there will be 7 grant applications due next week before the next ad hoc committee. So basically that's an overall overview of where we are.
There'll be 7 grant applications that are being submitted that have come through here, or there's which ones?
Actually, there'll be 9. There'll be 7 on the Clean Cities, and then there'll be 2 under the Bureau of Reclamation on a water marketing one. So right now, what I show in the queue is 9.
Is 9.
Yeah.
And are they due before?
They're due on the 22nd.
On the 22nd.
And some are due, I think, on the 29th.
Okay.
And most of those are comprised of, or I should say a number of those are comprised of items that we'll be considering today.
Okay. That was my question there. Okay. If we go to the items then, and I think, Mr. Weston, we're going to go to items C, E, and F, which are the JAG funding.
Good morning, council members. R.F. Ali Khan, Deputy Mayor of Homeland Security and Public Safety. I'm at the table with Elisa Finston from the Office of Homeland Security and Public Safety, our grant writer, Deputy Chief Dennis Keene from the LA Fire Department, and Charmaine Premji from the Gang Reduction Youth Development Office. We're here before the committee today to discuss a grant through the stimulus bill known as the Justice Assistance Grant. This is actually a $30 million grant that goes to approximately 79 jurisdictions within the County of Los Angeles. It's a bit complex in that the federal government basically took that money and put it into an existing program known as the Justice Assistance Grant Program. And as a result of the amount and some other factors, it triggered a lot of regulations and requirements under this grant as provided by the Department of Justice. The grant basically gives guidance on what every jurisdiction should receive based on Part 1 crime statistics, but it leaves it to all the jurisdictions to determine what the actual allocation will be. And it requires us to get a memorandum of understanding from 79 different jurisdictions. So it's a bit of a logistical challenge. In the past, this grant has been actually split between the county and the city of Los Angeles in our allocation, 50-50. This year we were able to work out what I think is a very good arrangement with the county that we would take the bulk of the money that would be awarded to the county and the city of Los Angeles to put to what has been our highest priority public safety infrastructure project for the LA Regional Interoperability Communication System, or LA RICS. As you may recall, the council recently approved a joint powers agreement with the county of Los Angeles as well as approximately 70 other jurisdictions within the county to begin the design and construction of this vitally important project. Just in essence, what this project is to enable all first responders in the county of Los Angeles to be able to communicate during any time of emergency response, and especially during a catastrophic incident. The lack of interoperability was a major factor in the death of hundreds of firefighters at 9/11. Because of the inability of the police department to be able to warn the firefighters who were in the World Trade Center to evacuate as the towers were falling. It is one of the highest recommendations in the 9/11 Commission report, and it's something that the federal government has been emphasizing. It's important to show not only regional collaboration, but of course to enable first responders to be able to communicate as quickly as possible. It also provides for interoperability not only between the city of Los Angeles and the surrounding communities in the county of Los Angeles, but also within the city. As of today, the Los Angeles Fire Department, Police Department cannot speak to each other on the same phone, on the same radio, even if they're responding to the same incident. At this point, we've had to purchase additional radios, so firefighters and actually firefighters have to carry 2 different radios in order to communicate to the police and communicate on the fire frequencies. In addition, during the frequent mutual aid incidents when the County of Los Angeles will come and assist the city with a fire or brush fire, the County of Los Angeles radio system does not communicate with the City of Los Angeles radio system for the fire department. In addition, to make it even more complex, the 4 police departments within the City of Los Angeles, the Port Police, the LAWA Police, LAPD, and the General Services Police also are on different systems and different frequencies. And this project, once implemented, will enable us to have those 4 intra-city police departments be able to communicate during times of emergency. The way this grant has been broken down is that 14 of the $16 million that would be awarded to both the county and the city of Los Angeles would be going towards the LA RICS project. And in particular would be used to build the infrastructure or the towers necessary to support this system. We anticipate by doing this, and the way this would work is that the city and the county jointly would build these towers in sites that would be beneficial to both the city and the county. And we estimate, and Chief Keene can speak to this as well, that it will create approximately 170 jobs within the city and the county of Los Angeles, approximately 85 jobs from the city. The way this would work is the General Services Department would be constructing the towers, and it would use its Union Hall laborers to actually hire them to do the construction of the towers, installing the equipment, as well as doing all of the power lines, communication lines, etc. And similarly, the county would also have approximately 85 jobs that were created, as well as being able to support employees at the Bureau of Engineering and other areas. One of the questions that may come up is, what if LA-RICS doesn't become a reality? First, I'd just like to say that the mayor and I believe the council has been dedicated to see this project go forward.
It was one of my questions, which was, how does this relate to the other, have we funded already part of LA-RICS?
Yes, there's approximately $100 million that's been dedicated in other grant funds through the Department of Homeland Security and other grants. That money is basically going to go to the design phase of the project because it's a very complex system. The RFP is set to be released later this summer, I believe, and Chief King can speak to that. And so this would be really almost getting to the second phase of building the actual infrastructure, and so we would be on parallel tracks to do that. It's not necessary to have the design phase done to do this because we actually know where the towers need to go throughout the county to make sure we have adequate coverage. But in addition, the real benefit of this, or the fallback, is that if for some reason LA-RICS were not to be realized, which would be something that we don't want to have happen, these towers are actually dual use in a sense. The City of Los Angeles and its aging infrastructure, its communications infrastructure, will have to be replaced within the next few years. And then having these towers could be used to support the existing frequencies, et cetera, for the LA Fire, LA Police, DWP, and other agencies.
So this is item F that we're speaking about right now, correct?
Yes. It's all actually part of the same grant application. There's $16 million allocated. $14 million will be going to the LA-RICS project, both the county and the city portions. And in addition...
But C, we were going with C, E, and F, so C is separate, is clear. So all I'm saying is that this F in our item here today is strictly for the RICS.
That's true, but my point is that it's actually one grant application, one grant award, and it's going to be split up by how it's split up on the agenda, which is $1 million is being reserved just for LA City purposes, and $1 million of the $16 million that the county and the city are eligible for, they are taking to do their own project. So the majority is going to LA-RICS.
Okay. C has $500,000 for clear.
That's correct.
Okay, and $500,000 for the grid zones.
That's correct. The $1 million that we've sort of shaved off as part of this agreement with the county, we plan to apply $500,000 to the CLEAR program. The reason we wanted to do that is, as you know, the mayor has and the council has adopted the plan to open 12 grid zones. The suppression component of that is the CLEAR program, or Community Law Enforcement and Recovery. It's necessary that we allocate some money in order to open up all those 12 CLEAR sites within the next fiscal year. And so the $500,000 would actually continue to fund the Baldwin Village CLEAR site in the southwest and the 77th CLEAR site in 77th Division. And this would provide 6 months of funding to make sure that those CLEAR sites can remain open until the end of the fiscal year.
And do you list, I don't see that in the actual documents that have been put forward, that it's going to those two sites?
It will be in the budget that's submitted with the grant, but in the one sheeter, I don't believe it's... Yes, the names of the sites are not listed, but that's what will be in the application to the Department of Justice on the usage of the money.
Okay. For the CLEAR, and then the grid zones?
The grid zones is a plan to use approximately $500,000 for a reentry program that will be used throughout the 12 grid zones in the city of Los Angeles. It's the mayor's office belief that given especially the circumstances of the economy, reentry is a critical factor in making sure that those who are exiting incarceration are not reentering a life of crime, and that they're reentering society. This would be set out for RFP. We would receive bids from community-based organizations that would provide job training, counseling, and other essential services to assist those who are being released from prison and jail to make sure that they're not...
Is this part of the chief's program that he's been talking about?
Actually, I'll let Sharmi Premji from the grid office, she can speak to the specifics.
No, it's actually not part of the Honor and Strength program that the chief has piloted, but it is in conjunction with that effort. So realizing that the chief's program can actually only handle about 80 clients for the next couple years, this is an effort to add another 75 clients to the mix. And this would be spread out through multiple grid zones, whereas the chief's efforts are specifically in the South Bureau.
But is the funding going to be used for his program? So you're designing a different program than what he is?
It's different in that the grid zones that we're targeting through this program are citywide, but in terms of the model, they're very similar. We're working in conjunction with the Honor and Strength program, but it is, their program can only handle a certain capacity, so we'd like to try and capitalize on this stimulus package money given the number of shovel-ready projects that will require positions to be filled. This is a perfect population given the sort of literacy skills and training that most ex-offenders in terms of their background, these would be perfect positions to have a pipeline for ex-offenders returning to grid zone. So we are working in concert with the chief's program.
Because I would hate to have two different models of a reentry. I understand that they can only handle 80, and this is going to give 75, but I think we want to understand the different models and how they will relate to one another. So
That's a very good point. I think the design of it, and Sharmi can correct me if I'm wrong, is to complement what the police department is doing. And I think an important point, too, is to remember that there has to be adjustments to different communities within the city. So one program may work very well in South LA, but may have to be designed a bit differently in East LA and other parts of the city to make sure we're tailoring it to the communities that need to be served.
okay. Thank you. Mr. Wesson, do you have any questions on C, E, and F, I think are the ones that and I know we're joined by Mr. Rosendahl, and give you a moment to catch your breath. We were just going over the JAG funding for the LA RICS program and the other two grants. I don't know if you had any questions you might want to ask.
Sorry. Say it again. Which item?
Well, C, E, and F.
C, E, and
the
F. Okay.
justice ones for the grid zones and.
Great. No, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. How do you feel about it? Where are we in the process?
We've actually been given the award, and we have an agreement with the county on sharing the award so that we benefit mutually from their award as well as ours. So this is just the process to let the Department of Justice know how we're going to use the money. They verify that it's all allowable, and then we can begin the process immediately.
And it's $500,000, is that what I'm seeing here?
It's actually $14 million that goes to the interoperability project, $500,000 to CLEAR, and $500,000 to a reentry program for offenders who are being released from prison.
When you talk about the CLEAR, we're talking about more officers in our city budget and all these, and I'm basically saying I obviously want more officers. Does this help in that?
It helps complement the officers who will be doing gang enforcement. It actually funds the city attorneys who are necessary for the prosecutions, gang injunctions, etc., a dedicated probation officer and a dedicated district attorney. They're critical in that process because, as you know very well, police officers are absolutely necessary to be out there to prevent the crime and also arrest the offenders. But if we don't pursue the crimes in court and get the convictions and the punishment, we're not looking at the entire...
It's the obvious follow-through that's critical for the job. Good. Well, congratulations on getting the grant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we will approve item C, E, and F and go back to item A.
Thank you very much.
This is the Mar Vista.
Good morning, council members. Adel Hashkali, Bureau of Sanitation. These two grant applications are for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund element of the stimulus package. Basically, these are water quality projects, and these two projects are under A and B are projects that are essential for compliance with our bacteria TMDLs for Santa Monica Bay. Let me turn it over to Wing Tan from our Watershed Protection Division to go over the first project and then go over the second project.
Wing Tan with Bureau of Sanitation. The first one is the Mar Vista Rec Center project. As Dale mentioned, it is for just to meet our TM2 requirement. This first project was originally one of the projects that was funded by state under Proposition 50, and in December the bond money was frozen. Now the state has selected this one particular project and the next one basically to restart the project with the stimulus money. So we're requesting that to be able to receive this particular money and all necessary paperwork to move forward with the stimulus money on a previous frozen bond project.
And I know some of the questions you wanted to ask was one that it says there's a match requirement, a significant match requirement. Is that on this first one, on the Mar Vista one? And that the CAO spreadsheet says that it's a loan program. So is that
Both projects are grants that we're getting grants from the state. The two projects here are Proposition O projects, and those are supplemental money that would supplement Proposition O project funds that we have. So
is the match fulfilled by Prop O? Or
yeah, it's a Prop O, but there's no requirement for the match for these projects, although I think that one page said there's a match. The state, right now, the grant is zero match. However, from our position, we felt since we have Proposition O money available to fund the complete project, we felt that by showing that will show a stronger position to receive that grant.
Okay, but it does say on that one sheet, match requirement, yes, $400,000. So where is that coming from? Is that, you're saying that the Prop O?
That's Prop O.
That's Prop O?
Yes.
And so it's not a loan program. Also, the spreadsheet indicates it's a loan program.
Both projects are subsidy grants from the stimulus.
Okay. Mr. CEO, you want to change that? You'll change that. Okay.
We're doing both of them right now?
Yes, A and B, I think. Yeah. I was just talking about A, but yes, for A and B.
Yeah. Obviously, in the Mar Vista Recreation Center water drain project, which of course is terrific, and I've been there as we've been working on it, brings the collected water from some 2,400 acres. Is that what we're looking at?
That's correct.
Yeah, and what people, the beauty of nature is the obvious flow of water to the ocean. So when it hits Mar Vista, it's come through 2,400 acres of other land in the region, and that system there obviously brings the water to the ocean clean, which is the goal of it. Do we feel comfortable this money will come as a complement to the existing projects we're doing? I mean, because it is more than shovel-ready. It is actually something that is supported.
We feel very strong that actually we got invited by the State Water Resource Board to apply for those two projects for grants. So they were pre-selected by the State Water Resource Control Board, and we were asked to apply for those two.
Excellent. And when we talk about Prop O, we talk about the continuing maintenance of that and projects on that. We looked at a $25 million tag. And then when we really look at the overall ongoing needs of that, we are in this discussion now with the county over AB 139 of how to raise the money and what to do it. Do you see the stimulus dollars coming in to assist in that projects so that we don't have to go so heavy in our assessment on the parcels? Because, there's 2,100,000 parcels in the county. county, of which we have 800,000 of them. And is there any complement?
The council member would have loved to see more money coming from the stimulus to help us with the TNDLs. These two projects only would cover the capital money that was initially to be funded by the Proposition 50 state bond. And now this is going to backfill and will not pay for operation and maintenance costs. So the question about the funding that's needed to maintain these Proposition O projects is still before us, and as we've communicated with the council members recently, we'll work through a process to ensure that we reach out to the community and the public and work with the county to figure out a way how we can provide a sustainable source of fund to upkeep and maintain our projects.
Yeah, and I might say, tangential to that, when the Assembly Committee decided not to put that onerous percentage in 65% for the county and 35% for the city, that was a really good effort, and I really applaud them for appreciating what role we play in that watershed, frankly. Yeah, good job on this. Thank you.
I'll ask the same question I did on A on B, because it says a $1.25 million match.
The entire project actually is being funded by Proposition O, and it's about $34 million, phase 1, 2, and 3, 4. So this is, the match will be Proposition O match, because those are funds that are allocated from Proposition O, and this will basically offset that Prop 50 money that was going to come to augment the money from Proposition O. So the matching fund will come from Proposition O.
Proposition O, and this will you'll have enough money for the entire project?
Yes.
Through this? Okay. Any other questions from my colleagues? This one, A and B? Okay, we'll move approval on those items. Now to item D.
Good morning. Jim Lefton with the Department of Transportation. The department is planning to submit a TIGR application, which stands for Transit Investments for Greenhouse Gas and Energy Reduction. And there's three different components to the department's proposed application. One would be for 4 new technology, zero-emission, quick-charge electric buses for our DASH program. In the past, electric technology has been hampered by the concern over range, that they aren't charged sufficiently to be able to operate through an entire day. The advantage of this new technology is that the buses have a smaller battery pack that can be charged more frequently. And so basically, how this would work would be that the bus would be charged at a layover at the beginning of a DASH route. It would run a complete circuit, come back, and could be charged within 5 minutes to be able to run the next circuit. So continually charged throughout the day under a fast charge system. So we're really excited about testing this new technology. We think it's a potential step forward in zero-emission bus technology. Again, that's the total cost for that project would be, about $3 million. The second component would be for 15 hybrid electric gasoline buses, and these are relatively new technology buses as well. They're typically found in the 40-foot bus configuration, and we'd like to test them in the Dash 30-foot configuration. These greatly reduce the amount of fossil fuels that are used, and also reduce emissions, and are kind of seen as a bridge between more conventional technologies and zero-emission technologies. That would be for a total cost of about $11.25 million. And finally, we'd like to go after funding for our proposed downtown bus maintenance facility. We'd like to incorporate some energy-saving components such as photovoltaic charging cells and other energy reduction materials. That would be for a total cost of $4 million. So the total cost for all three components is about $18.3 million. We've submitted an application to the CEC for a local match for about $6.4 million. So if we get that funding, that would reduce the total TIGA request to about $11.83 million. There would be no city local match required. TIGA does not require any local match, but we are going after state funding to help improve our chances of getting the federal funding for this project.
And how does this affect our Prop A and C projections over the years?
These are buses that we would presume would replace existing buses that we'd have to buy using Prop A dollars, so it actually would help reduce the drain on the Prop A fund.
Okay. When we get the grant, which we hope we will, then we can talk about that. Yeah, cross my fingers or toes. It'd be great then to follow up, because I've clearly followed our 10-year projection, which is not very pretty.
And it's a work in progress, definitely.
Okay, so it's not only it's the financial aspect and our ability to still even operate our programs. Right. Okay.
Yeah, this is really an exciting program, obviously. To see anything that says fast charge electric and hybrid electric buses and sustainability features, this is what we're all about going forward in this great world of ours. And the big question for me is, to get that $18,300,000, do we have to come up with local match or state match or this or that or the other?
No, TIGA does not require any local match whatsoever, but obviously if there is a local match, it improves the chances. So we're going after state funding, which is designed to serve as a local match for the federal funding. So if we get the state funding, it just improves our chances of getting the grant from the TIGA.
And the state funding, what about all these props next week? Any impact they would have up or down on them in terms of state match?
As far as I know, that funding is not going to be impacted by the state actions. So
that's just music to my ears. And when will you know about the state component?
I believe by next week, because we have to apply for TIGA. I think the date is May 22nd, so we should find out next week whether we got the state funding or not.
And then when you get the state funding, that just ups our chances with the federal funding. How many folks or groups are trying to get after this $18 million, do you know?
I don't have an idea at this point.
What's the total package of money for this electric features?
I believe it's $100 million total nationwide for TIGA.
So a lot of people are going for it.
Potentially, but again, this is for really innovative, cutting-edge technology, so that will cut down on those that typically go after traditional transit vehicles.
And when we do this in a maintenance facility, do we have one in mind right now where we're thinking where this
We have
take
a property
place?
that we purchased that the council's already approved in downtown on Commercial Street near Union Station, and we're in the process of working with GSD to acquire the property. Our first phase would be to probably install a CNG fueling station, because we do anticipate buying CNG buses, and then from there we'll build a full-blown maintenance facility as part of phase 2.
That's exciting. Where's MTA on this?
MTA is supportive of the technology. They're actually buying 40-foot hybrid electric buses from the same manufacturer, so they're very supportive of this technology as well, and we're certainly going to be partnering with them in terms of sharing information.
Do you think, this is thinking out of the box a little bit here, there's a MTA maintenance yard on Main Street in Venice that they've been trying to shut down, which we would love for them to shut down. We would like to use that land for affordable housing and other community needs. The discussions about where that would go have been with LAWA, and no one has come up with anything. Can some stimulus money somehow tie in to that?
That's certainly possible if there's an energy saving or emission reduction component to it, then it's eligible for funding.
Yeah, if I could ask Jim Clark a question on this one. What I'm thinking out of the box on this is the following. Here's a beautiful piece of land on Main Street in Venice that MTA wants to leave, and they want to go to a joint facility with the City of LA, be it LAWA or somewhere else. We also need affordable housing for community. We also need stimulus dollars for affordable housing. We obviously need stimulus dollars for transportation issues. I think there's synergy here. And with Jane Harmon in the House, maybe we could come up with a creative strategy of looking at that piece of land on Main Street on how we can either tie in, be it this kind of money or any other kind of money, that A, is affordable housing, B, is transportation issues, C, could even be the high-tech greening technology thing, and D, LAWA, which is another group with pieces of land, could be part of it. I'd love to see one of those collective strategies come up with a proposal, or even help them create a stimulus pot for something like that. Any possibility on that?
We'll definitely look into it. Thank you for that suggestion. Nothing comes to mind right now, in part because of the time frames under the recovery money, that generally this stuff has to be obligated and spent within 2 to 3 year period of time. But there are other ways that we can look at this, and I think we'll do that. We'll look at it.
Because right now it is a cooperative effort where I know MTA wants to work with DOT, wants to work with LAWA, and if somebody somehow gave the extra push, we could have a win-win. We could have affordable housing in one location, we could have a joint facility, and we could also have a greening opportunity in the joint facility.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Okay,
I'll get back to you with some information.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think Ms. Perry said she didn't have any questions specifically on these items, so we'll approve A and B. Excuse me, not A and B, we're on D. Sorry.
Thank you.
So I think we have done A through F. Anything else from CDD on the update of the Community Development Block Grant Recovery application?
Good morning, David Esparza, Assistant General Manager for Community Development Department. This morning, we submitted a report to the committee outlining the status of the process for the application. I hope that has been distributed to the council members and staff for this. So, and if there are specific questions, I'll answer that, or I'll go through the plan that you have in front of you.
Just go ahead and the plan in front of us.
I'm sorry?
I said go ahead and just talk about the plan we have in front of us.
Okay.
Maybe a general summary.
Essentially what we're talking about here, the major components is that the plan that we are working on, it currently allocates 25% of the funds that we will receive, and that is under this particular funding for block grant. It's $19.3 million. 25% of it is being allocated to public service, 25% to housing, 10% to administration and planning, and the balance, or 40%, is to economic development and public improvements. Now
you said 25% to public service?
That's correct.
Are we asking for a waiver?
We are asking for a waiver, and
Okay.
that was one of the stipulations I wanted to. Under the plan itself, the guidelines indicates that 15% is to be be used for public service. We are submitting a request to HUD asking for a waiver and to increase that to 25%.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you, but I know we worked so hard to get it for a while, and then we lost it, and so to get it back would be great, to get that 25%.
Right. And there is some additional flexibility with the use of this, and the guidelines speak specifically to waivers, and so we're hoping that will provide us with the opportunity to increase it from 15 to 25%.
Now, it says in here as well that that the application is due June 5th and that there needs to be a one-week posting process of the tentative projects beforehand.
Yes.
Now, we don't have before us any projects.
No, we don't at this particular time. There is a group that has been meeting both initially, and that was there was a public service team, a housing team, and an economic development team that were formulated with members from, council office, the mayor's office, the CAO, and the CLA's offices in order to bring these projects together. That list has not been finalized as of yet, and we are continuing to work on this. We have a very, strict deadline because we need to make sure that that list is put together by Monday of next week.
I was just going to ask before you, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Wesson, as chair of the committee where this goes through a lot of these items, any questions or comments on this one? Okay. Mr. Rosendahl.
I'm excited when you say we have to come up with a list by Monday. We got to start thinking this and that. Let me make a suggestion if you haven't already thought it. We have Lincoln Place. And we're just about almost there with this AMCO group. And one of the exciting features, besides 80 of the tenants going back, another 80 getting compensated, they're going to modernize the existing structures. They're going to then rent it out, and then when it's rented, then they're going to put it in an SRO again. So we'll continue to have an amazing affordable housing complex in a beach community. But we need to work with them in closing the deal. And so what would be helpful is monies from there that could help in the modernization, renovation, and the greening of the buildings in partnership with the private sector. I strongly believe the more we're in partner with the private sector, even on federal stimulus money, the more opportunities we have. So if I could ask you to get with Larry Frank a little bit, who is spearheading it for the mayor, and obviously me from my office, and see if in that mix of where we go, this particular project, which is a nationwide story of affordable housing in America today, could again be something that we could look at from an affordable housing standpoint, a greening standpoint, and working with the private sector.
Okay. And actually this team is meeting again today during lunch, and so I will have the opportunity to talk with Mr. Frank at that time.
Excellent. Excellent. I just think it becomes a win for everybody on this. And anytime I can get the private sector a win, at the same time the government sector, and at the same time public service creating affordable housing, and also making it green.
Yeah, those opportunities don't always come around, so it would be good to take advantage of it.
Good. I look forward to hearing back from you on how that goes. Thank you.
On the report also that we submitted, there is on the second page at the very end a timeline that we have listed out for the various activities that need to take place prior to the submission of the plan on June 5th to HUD. So we've tried to give as much information on the current status, some of the hurdles that we are addressing, and then also the timeline that we are working towards. As you know, it is a very aggressive schedule, and so...
Any questions? Other questions, Mr. Rosendahl? Ms. Perry?
No.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other items on our agenda?
Let me give you a copy of it.
If not, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.